Have you always wanted cold beer on tap at your house? Well, you can easily do that by making a kegerator. A kegerator is a refrigerator converted into holding beer on tap in a keg and dispensing it through a nozzle. First thing we gotta do is we gotta get our measurements to make sure that the refrigerator we are using is big enough to hold everything it needs to hold for a kegerator. Once you know that you have a refrigerator that's big enough to hold all your equipment, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is start taking out all the shelves and anything that can be removed from the refrigerator to have enough space to fit all your stuff in it. Before I just start screwing holes through this door, I need to check the back of the door to see if there's anything that's gonna be in the way. So I can see right here, this would be in the way and this. So I wanna hit like right in the middle of that. Keep in mind when you're choosing the location of your faucet that depending the size of your handle, you wanna make sure that if you have a freezer top, you have enough clearance that this will open and this won't be in the way. So now that I know the location of the faucet head, I put some painter's tape over top of this because it keeps it from chipping away, the material chipping as I drill through it with the hole saw. When you're drilling through this, you want to make sure that you first pre-drill because this is kind of a slippery material. And by pre-drilling, it's going to have something for this to grip into as I use the hole saw because it's made to go through metal. Next, we're going to clean up the hole. As you can see, there's just debris everywhere from drilling. So we're going to clean that up. So the next thing you want to do is attach the faucet handle to the shank. So you start by just hand tightening it. This faucet I bought too is it comes with this little, I guess a cover. So you don't get like debris in the area that the beer will be coming out of. So I like to keep that on while I'm installing this just so it keeps it clean. So this next step is totally optional, but I think it's totally worth it, and that's installing a drip tray. What's awesome about these is that once you are done pouring, there are gonna be drips. And if this drip tray isn't here to catch it, it's just gonna get all over the floor in your garage, wherever you have your kegerator. All right, now we got the beer line hooked up to the shank. We are going to attach the other end of the beer line to the coupler. And what this is like the middleman between the keg and the CO2. The top is for the beer line, and then the side here is for the CO2 to hook up into the coupler. Now that I just hooked up the airline to the keg coupler, the other end of the airline is going to go into the regulator, which will then go into the CO2. This regulates the amount of CO2 pressure going into the keg. That's why this regulator is so important. So next I'm going to attach the regulator to the CO2 tank. All right, so before I keep moving forward, I need to make sure that my tap handle is in the off position. And the reason for that is if it's not, then I might accidentally start spilling out beer everywhere once I start hooking up the lines. So make sure that's off before you keep going. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the pressure of the CO2, and you do that by turning your regulator knob counterclockwise. So I'm just going to spin it a little bit. And the reason for this is that I don't want to open up the valve for the CO2 and have this on high pressure. I only need about 12 PSI for my keg, and so that's my goal, is to keep the pressure, and I can check that by looking at the gauge to see where the pressure is in the CO2 when I open the valve. So now that I decrease the pressure, I will then open up the CO2 and I'm going to check the line, the air lines, by spraying some soapy water around the connections to see if there's any bubbling, and the bubbling will indicate if there is a leak of CO2 anywhere in the hookup. You just screw it in clockwise. Feels tight and snug. This is what will be when I move this down. This is what will have the beer start flowing. Once the CO2 tank is all good to go, and I attach the keg coupler to the keg, next thing I can do is move my CO2 tank into the refrigerator, or the Kegerator now, and then also I will decompress the handle and make sure my valve is open for the CO2, and the beer will start flowing. And that's how easy it is to have ice cold beer on tap whenever you want it. More videos like this, check out familyhandyman.com. Cheers.